We're not going to spend the entire chat on this, obviously, and we do have far more important things to discuss from a Geelong perspective, but we probably need to address it off the top. I reported yesterday that Jordan Clark and yourself had what I termed a heated phone conversation on Tuesday, and that it may have ended with the player hanging up on you. Now, I concede the call might not have ended quite as abruptly as what I was led to believe. But, Steve, would you agree that what may have been a strong conversation for one person might not be the same for the other in a two-person call? Can you possibly enlighten me as to your recollection of it?
I suppose that could be right, Sam. But, look, I did take a call from Jordan Clark, which is not unusual. At that time, he was still a Geelong player. And, we just had a good conversation about the fact that Jordan respectfully wanted us to seriously consider him going back to Fremantle Footy Club and back to Perth where his family is, or back to WA where his family is. And, my recollection of it is that it wasn't heated at all and that he didn't hang up. It was just respectful. And, he was just saying again to us that if that opportunity came to get a good deal, that he'd like us to take it.
Is it right that the Cats, you'd sort of started to manoeuvre, I guess, to prepare for that he was going to stay and maybe that led to his phone call in pleading for a trade in the end?
Yeah, that could be the way the phone call came about. But, certainly we were prepared for Jordan to stay. I mean, he's a contracted player, so he and his manager and we all were well aware of that. In the end, it was going to be up to Fremantle whether the deal went ahead or not. So, we, at that stage, on Tuesday, weren't sure that the deal was going to go ahead. We'd made it clear the value of the trade that we needed for Jordan to get back to WA. And at that stage, Fremantle weren't budging. So we had to prepare as if Jordan was going to come back and be a Geelong player in 2022. The phone call, it wasn't a surprise. It was, look, I haven't seen Jordan face-to-face for 3 months because we went over there for the hub and I stayed here in Geelong. And unusual or not, we haven't had that circumstance very often. So I was happy to take Jordan's call. It was a good conversation and the deal ended up going ahead.
Yeah, like I said just before, me and Wellesley had a phone call, and like I said, he was just checking in with me more on how I was going and dealing with this period that I was going through, with the full understanding that it can be tough for a young person to go through. So that was more the basis around our conversation. That's how it got out, and I'm not entirely sure, and that's what the club and my manager were doing a lot of work on yesterday, was trying to get to the bottom of it, but they couldn't somehow. So we don't know, and we'll never really know the answer to that. But no, Wellesley and I, we have a very good relationship, and we left on pretty good terms.
He's been around it for a while, Siegs, but how did he take the news and how quickly did he get his head around going down the highway and playing for the Cats? The arch rivals for so long.
Look, I don't know if you've ever spoken to Siegs, but he's low-key as any bloke you'd ever meet. So nothing phases the big man. So he was contracted at Hawthorn, happy to stay, saw the opportunity at Geelong, thinks it's a great opportunity. He's obviously Isaac's down there as well. So, I think it'll work really well. And, it's going to be a good fit for him and Charlotte, his wife. So, I think staying in Victoria, because there was interest, like Brisbane, early days, Brisbane, had a bit of a, reach out for him. They'd had a crack at him a couple of years ago, and the move to Brisbane probably wasn't going to be ideal, and it wouldn't probably financially worked anyway. But and we had a brief discussion with the Bulldogs, but they're the three obvious ones. You want to go to a club that's somewhere up near the top that's competing. So Geelong's a really good fit for Segs, and I know the age thing, and people talk about another old bloke coming to Geelong, but I think with ruckman it's a whole different ball game. Every ruckman can play on. I mean, Shane Mumford, I heard you talking to Jace McCartney before.
The door's ajar.
I thought he was retired. He's 35 now. He's still a chance to get to come back. So
amazing.
I don't think you can put the ruckman in the older brigade, if you know what I mean.
And what did you see in John Segler, Steve? It's going to make, I know you re-signed Reece Stanley recently, going to make for an interesting pre-season down there at Geelong in the battle, and competition for spots is great for the number one ruck role.
Oh, it is. And if it wasn't Jonathan, it was going to be Darcy. You need a team of ruckmen, really, don't you? It's unless you're a superstar like Max Gawn, it's hard to play every week and be a dominant ruckman. And both Jonathan and Reece are 30 years of age, and so they're they're going to work well as a team, we think, along with the Sava Radicaleer, and we've got Mark Blitzarves, and we've also got 3 young developing players that could eventually play ruck for us as well. So, hopefully Reece and Jonathan work out to be a great team of ruckmen for us.
So the Chad one was interesting because it was just a question posed. There wasn't a deal in place or anything. It was a question posed. So it was probably the length of that one may have been an hour. So, but so many of your colleagues covering this, it tends to get out pretty quickly. But that's okay. But yeah, the Luke Bruce one definitely had a full stream of momentum on Tuesday and through the early parts of yesterday, and that was all born about. The reality is, yeah, we're happy to look at improving our list, but we haven't got the finances to pay these top-end players. So it needed to be something, and we're prepared to use our 13, albeit it was only a slide, but we needed a considerable amount of Luke's salary paid for. And we were able to broker, get that in really good shape. But obviously, Luke's management definitely had interest in it, but you need to convince the player, and Hawthorn had a couple of chats with Luke, and Luke rightfully decided in the end that no, he'd stay there, even though he had that opportunity of more security at our football club. But I think what it goes to show, and I don't know Luke personally, but what it says to me is from afar what you see with him, he's an outstanding young man.
Yeah, and am I right in saying that the Giants have got a long-standing interest or admiration for this player, Luke Bruce, particularly Leon? I mean, he's been a player that I think maybe the club was interested in going back to when he was a kid.
Yeah, most definitely. Obviously, Leon spent time coaching at Hawthorn, so he's coached Luke as well. He's a New South Wales boy. Tomorrow, I think he's from, so there's great appeal in that too. Like we just don't get many coming back the other way, so that's got great appeal. But the quality of player Luke is, and although he'll turn 31 in November, he's so durable and he's still performing at just a really high level. So not to be in the end, but like I said, definitely. When a strategy from another club meets something that maybe we could facilitate, a really good player with not a great financial outlay from our behalf, you definitely explore that. But in the end, we're comfortable how everything's landed.
They would have had the conversation and they would have said, okay, what will get this deal done? And they would have said that. And then they would have been working with the player at the same time.
Can I stop there? There's no good doing that. Don't do that, because all that does is makes it blatantly obvious and patently clear to Luke Bruce that Hawthorn want to trade you. So
but he already knows that.
No. Wouldn't you go to Luke Bruce and say, listen, Luke, the Giants are on the phone. They're interested. Do you want us to take this further? Luke says, nah, I ain't going anywhere.
You got to work on 2 levels with these things.
Well, that's all. Don't
he knows.
Pee down our back and tell him it's raining then.
Who are you peeing?
Mark.
Whose back you peeing
Mark.
down?
Don't tell the Hawthorn, oh, no, we love our players and we're really thrilled they're staying, and then go into the depth that they have to try and get rid of them. Go to Luke Bruce and
you
say,
have to do that.
Hey, Luke, we've told you at the start of this, which I'm fine with, everyone's on the table. And Luke goes, yeah, I know, you told me. Okay, we've got the Giants on the phone right now. So do you want us to pursue this? Luke Bruce goes, not at all. Right, and that's what Rob McCartney tells us. We go to the players, they've got the whip hand, they're contracted, we ask them, they say no, and we say we love you, how great it is that you're staying.
No, I agree with all that, but you've got to have that you've got to have that open dialogue and communication with the player.
But that's what I'm saying. He's not going, Tim. So why do we get to the detail?
No, he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go now.
Chad Wingard doesn't want to go to the Giants.
No, he doesn't want to go to the Giants. You don't know.
But it's now come to light that they're prepared to pay 60% of his wage. That's how much they want to get him out.
Gary, what we don't know is Luke Bruce may have said at some stage, look, I'm prepared to go to another club here in Melbourne, but I don't want to shift interstate. And so when the Giants thing came late, he said, no, I don't want to go there. I'm not interested in going there.
Spot on. End of story.
Yeah, exactly.
So how come we've got to the stage where they've gone, end of story, I'm happy with that, right? I can live with that. But now it's come to light that they've said, no, we got that far down the path. We know Luke Bruce doesn't want to go interstate, but we got that far down the path. We've got pick 24.59 and a future 4th, and we're prepared to pay some of his salary. Hawthorn supporters are getting salty. Not all of them. So I listened yesterday. There are some who are they're getting salty and think it's a personal thing. No, it's not. These are the issues that Sam Mitchell's now going to have to deal with. And if you think that it's all been done beautifully and transparently and they're all happy, then good. I'm happy for you. I don't think that's the case.
Yes, and to that end, he has to win the locker room over, because what we're actually talking about here with those players, they would be from the outside the most influential players inside the team,
of course,
as well. So it is a big job for a young, inexperienced coach to be able to navigate his way through this.
And they'll all come back in, and at some stage they'll be challenged, right, as a team and individuals, which happens, right? If you haven't got that environment where you go, oh, we can work through this because everyone's embracing, we wanted, we feel loved. If you've got a little crack, the crack will get bigger, Tim. And at some stage, I'm not saying this will definitely happen, but this is what history shows us, that the form of one of these boys will be, not great. And then everyone says, well, no wonder it's not great because you said you're going to trade them. And then all of a sudden the player will feel like, well, God help me, I'm not getting any support here. And I know they wanted me out. They're going to pay half my salary. So let me just say it's a challenging environment.